Behind her. We are live with another episode of Brownish. Is what we get when we talking trash right before we start. You guys know her, my amazing, my hilarious, my beautiful co-host, Sasha Merci from HBO's De Lo Mio, streaming now on HBO Max.
Mm-hmm. All
We
of the
got
HBOs in the world.
all the HBOs. What's going on? You got the curls out, you got the nails out. What's going on?
I've been auditioning a lot lately, and so yes, right. I'm excited. So I've been auditioning a lot, and so it's been like sporadic these audition tapes. So I'm like, you know what? I'm always gonna be prepared. I don't know if they're gonna freaking send me an audition tape right now, but I'm prepared.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I have a friend who just moved out here, and she's staying with me, and she's one of my best friends in the whole wide world. So I'm really happy. I'm like in a good space.
Okay. So now, are you calling your reps? Like you get done up, you're like, hey, anything? Anything?
I'm like,
What you got?
y'all working
What's
on
happening? What's happening? Uh, also, with your friend, are you? Because like I do this, I have the tendency of like, so when I don't have anybody visiting me, there's days I go in sweats. I'm not gonna see nobody. But now that
Yeah.
my like when my mom comes, I gotta look like I got it all together. Like
Yes.
I
Yeah.
don't cry.
I want
I don't
her
cry to my breakfast, mom. I don't cry at my breakfast.
right. I don't want her to ever, like the memory of her. When she has memories of me, she'll be like, "Yo, Sasha always seemed like she had it together." Meanwhile, if I was here by myself, I'd be like, just looking at the wall, having all type of thoughts.
Your friend's gonna go back like Sasha got it all together. She gets up every morning,
She does her
gets
makeup.
done up. She's crazy. They're pandemic.
Yeah. Yeah, and also I'm like I'm excited too because it's like remember we were on stage. That was great.
Yeah, let's
That was
talk about it. You kept telling me when I gotta get up on stage. I gotta get up on stage. You
yeah,
left me hanging.
and I
You
sent
left
you.
me.
You know what's
You
crazy
left
about
me hanging the first time. We left me hanging the first time. I was a little upset because you were hounding me, and I said, "Come through to this bar. I think I can get you on." And that night, I was like, "Where's Sasha?" She said she was coming. No, Sasha.
You know what? You're right. I was gonna because I sent you a text afterwards. I'm like, "Yo, I really appreciate you. Like, thank you." And you didn't even text me back. You was like,
You 1 for 2 in my books. I know.
"No," but I'm like, truly, I'm grateful. Thank you for like letting me be on stage. I think that was dope. And when I was on stage, I was very nervous, but it's like that's what I like to do. I love to be on stage. I
Yeah.
can't wait to do more.
Shout out to the Haha Comedy Club in North Hollywood. They are doing outdoor shows, which made me laugh because a lot of the comics. So that first show was like the crowd was into it. Second show was a little weird, but it was so
Right.
funny because the comics are blaming the audience, like, why are they being weird? First off, we doing a show in an alley,
Right.
right? Where you
Right.
can hear cars going by. Like it's a little weird.
Right.
Like don't blame the audience. It's everybody. The whole
So
setup is a little weird.
you know what? But the first audience, they were down. They were like, whatever
Yeah,
y'all saying, haha. You know what I'm saying? Like they
yeah,
were more receptive. They were more receptive
yeah,
crowd. But it's
yeah.
weird how that happens, right? Like how, sometimes it's just the crowd that they're probably laughing internally. Maybe these are the people that like they go through their Instagram and they just like see something funny and they go, and they chuckle. You know what I mean?
I want to find those people that actually laugh out loud. Like
Right.
I'll see on Instagram like, oh, that's funny, but I'm not like, I gotta send that.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been catching myself the way that I laugh now on something funny on Instagram. I'll be like, I'm there. I'm there. This is so funny. It's so funny. And then I send it to all my friends and I'm like, yo, but I didn't really like laugh.
Yeah,
Man, that's crazy.
but that's comedian. That's comedian. Like when me and my wife we first met, like she would come to comedy shows, she'd be laughing, and then she'd look over and she's like, "Do you not find it funny?" I'm like, no, no, that was good. That was good. Oh, that's good right there. And she was just like, "Well, tell your face, because right now your face is not." I'm like, "No, but I see what he's doing, and I think it's
Right.
funny. I just
Yeah. It's like it's brilliant, but you're like, that was really good.
yeah."
Yeah. That's what it
At
is.
what point did we lose that joy? Because I know we weren't like that as kids. Like you ever tickle a kid? Like no kid's like, funny. Okay. I
Right.
see
I
what
don't
you're
know.
doing.
I think that once you start doing stand-up comedy, you're like, I've seen it all, kind of,
Yeah.
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 It's one of those things.
So what we saying is we dead inside. We got it all put together, but we inside.
The dead inside. Hell yeah. We like.
Well, I'm excited about today's show. By the way, everybody in the chat's asking, where is he? So let's just jump into it. I love, by the way, this is what I love about Latinos is like they will never call somebody by their real name. Is how they know him.
Right.
They won't ever be like, oh, there goes Tommy. Mira, ahí va Woody. Like that's how they're gonna. Right. They're never gonna call a dude by his real name, his government name. But I'm excited. This dude, and I'll tell the story when he's on. But like he right now he's on like 2 of the biggest shows on Netflix, On My Block and Selena. Give it up for Julio Macias, everybody.
Hey.
What's
up, guys?
What's up?
Right now, by the way, people get mad like Julio. No, that's spooky. Don't stop. What's his name?
Yo,
nah.
My family now calls me Spooky. Like my mom will call me like, "Hola, Spooky," come, and I'm like, no. Like all of my cousins now that are trying to be cool, they're just like, "Hey, what's?" And then like they throw on this like Chicano thing where I'm like, "Don't pretend like you didn't spend your entire life trying to lose that accent."
Right. Yeah. True.
I had a cousin that moved out here years back. And I remember he was out here for a year, and then one day he's talking on the phone, all of a sudden, like, kicked into that accent. I was like, wait, hold up. What was that? You're from New York. What? Because he was just like, man, I'm out here. And, yeah, tú sabes. And I was like, whoa, George Lopez, come back. What happened?
Right.
What'd you?
Yeah. Don't be a fool. Like, come on.
Yeah. It's funny. It's interesting how language, English being my second language, when I learned it, I purposely learned it with like this skater boy accent so I could fit in with my skater boy friends, That was just like, I need to sound like Blink 182 so that I'm not just like the Mexican kid, right?
Right.
And then like the older that I got, my mom was like, always when you speak Spanish, like her proper Spanish. So her like Mexico City, unaccented, sorry, Mexico, bland ass Spanish, and in English, you're going to do the same. Like you're going to speak English like properly, this and that. And she would like me to do accents. So like British accent, that's accent. But when I would go out on the streets, like I would sort of see myself talking with like those cadences, people from northern Mexico, with like the paletero, it's like, ¿Qué onda? ¿Cómo estamos, cabrón? No, pues ya sabes. And my mom's like, oh, you're talking all naco. And I'm like, no, Mom, that's just that's like how we communicate. And then the Spanglish came in, and me and my sister were really into Spanglish for a while. My mom hated it. And like one time I told my mom, like, would you rather Val not speak any Spanish whatsoever, or like sprinkle it in whenever she feels comfortable? And my mom's like, all right, yeah, I feel it. And now that my sister has a kid, she speaks only Spanish to her babies so that they'll like learn it. It's language is interesting.
Yeah, man. It's so funny because I'm the same way. Like my mom, she's Guatemalan, and growing up, my dad he's Puerto Rican. The Puerto Rican accent is like legit. Like, so my wife's white, and she's like, I'm gonna get Rosetta Stone so I can talk to him. I was like, good luck. Not with Puerto Ricans and Dominicans. Good luck.
Right. Because.
Yeah. But she taught me Spanish, so I have a very like neutral accent. Like when I go into auditions, feel like, where you from? Like I always get that like, hold up, I can't place that. I'm like, oh, I'm Puerto Rican, Guatemala. My mom taught it to me. But I do the same thing with that you're doing is like where I hear it, and it's almost like a chameleon thing where you start picking up that cadence, and people are like, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't know. I got into the rhythm.
I didn't mean, my bad.
I didn't mean to,
yeah. And then it's gone to the point where like sometimes it'll be, you get called out for it, like, hey, you kind of switch there in the beginning of the conversation to how we're speaking now.
Yeah.
And they question my Mexicanness, and I'm like, all right, cool, let's start speaking Spanish. And then like that conversation just ends because the other person is like, oh, I actually don't know. I don't know that much Spanish.
Right.
Like I understand everything you're saying, but just practice is just,
It's true because it's
so
like, my Dominican Spanish is very different from Mexican Spanish. So I remember one time I'm like speaking to I went to like this taco shop and I ordered something to drink, and I'm like, can I get a sorbeto? And they're like, sorbeto. what is it? I was like, oh, okay, all right, like things like that. And I was like, oh, cool, okay. I thought sorbeto was like just a Spanish word, but it's not.
Yeah, that's what when my wife's also white, and so she, whenever it's like let's learn, like she's got to the point where it's like learning Spanish will do me no good. It's I have to be around the people and kind of pick up what the colloquial conversations are. Like Jason, he's also from the Dominican Republic. He's on my block, and he's whenever he comes over and we start speaking Spanish, my wife like gets the conversation, but she's just like, I have to listen to you completely differently than I listen to him. And for some reason, his Spanish makes more sense to her than mine.
What? That's hilarious.
No.
She's like, Jason speaks with like his body and emotion, and you just put in so many words as fast as you can. And I got no idea what you're saying.
So she's just playing charades, is what she's doing. Okay. All right. I see what he's doing. He's okay. There's a bird. Okay.
Lo siento. It's true. We're very like Dominicans are like, ¿qué tú estás diciendo a mí?
Oye, Jason, ¿te gusta la directora? La directora. And it's just boom. I don't think he likes the director. I think that's what he said.
That's so true. So like, would you say that learning all of these different accents, like, does that help you with your characters? Is that like when you get an audition, do you feel like, okay, I know how I should play this character or not? Like, how long does it take you to read a script and be like, oh, and try to figure out who your character is going to be?
Yeah, I do that super quick. Like I immediately jump in and I'm like, boom, boom. I'm like trying to pick up like different little options. And it's weird because it's these two contract, like it's both a superpower and like also a self-hate thing, or could be assumed as a self-hate thing, where I grew up like a blank canvas, taking on whatever I could take on to fit in or to do this or to that. Like I'm not Mexican enough, I'm not American enough. When I go to Miami, like I'm not slightly Cuban enough. So having this moldability of not, I mean, I know who I am, but just kind of not knowing where I fit in. It was always fun. Like, how do I fit into this little group? How do I fit into this little group? So now when I read scripts, it almost feels like validated. Like now it's not just like random 12-year-old Julio being like, how do I fit in? Now it's like, oh, our job, cool. Let me, but yeah, and my parents did, or my dad and my grandfather started a dubbing company in Mexico. So I grew up around voice actors. That's all you see them do is like read scripts and like do funny, weird faces and walk up and down the halls, like doing these things. So I learned very early on, like, don't judge the character, just pick it up and start reading it. And whatever comes up, like do it. And then if like 2 pages in, you're like, this seems silly or this seems weird, switch it up. It's not like a bad choice. It's just, an immediate like choice that you just made at that moment. Yeah.
How do you feel comfortable with your choices? Like, how do you get in it?
Yeah, it's weird. So this 4th season, we're like switching him up. We're switching Oscar up, and we're finding this new thing. And it's interesting because before I had found it, and I had such a security of knowing who this character is and how to play him. And now that they're switching it up, it's like every scene is discovering it. So this 4th season for me, it feels like an acting class because every scene you're discovering something new, and that's like kind of scary, because you're not sure if you're doing these things right. And I made choices, and then that's what like the other side is for. The director, the producers, the writers, they'll tell you what's working, what's not working. So I trust them. If they're not telling me anything, I'm like, I'm going to assume I'm doing everything right and just.
Well, I know that I believe.
Until somebody's asking.
So I know that this is the final season. You guys are wrapping it up here, putting the bow on it. So take us to the beginning. How did this even come about? Like, you get a call from your agent, like, we got this new series. Like, take us through that whole thing. Like, because at that point, Netflix is starting to do originals. Do you go like, who? What? Like, what do they? Yeah. What is this?
I told my dad about it, you know, and so he knows enough about the industry to kind of like give his opinion, but he has like an 80s version of what the industry is, you know. So when I tell him Netflix, he's like, streaming, like you're gonna do it on Facebook or something, and I'm like, nah, Dad, I'm auditioning for like what I think is gonna be like how. At that point, it was just like I was realizing a lot of my friends and everybody is watching, you know, everything through streaming, right? So when I got the audition, first it was a little disheartening because it said like Oscar Spooky Diaz, you know, early 20s, gangbanger. I was like, awesome, I will. Like another one, right? Because you just get like a plethora of these like gangbanger auditions, right? So I'm like, fuck. But then you read the script, and I read the first three the first three sides, and I was like, yo, they're trying to do something deep with this character. And I am not a intimidating, scary person, but I think that this person is bringing all of this from love. So like, what can I do that's different than everybody else is going to come in and hear be hard, right? I'm being spooky to protect my brother, and that comes from a place of love and not so much anger and hate. So let's see what that does, you know? And yo, if you've ever gotten between like a pup or a dog and their puppies, like it's out of like this love and it's scared. Like a thing that, you know, this adrenaline that you have is like, I'll take you down, but I'm scared kind of as well. So you're like, oh, you got these like things working. I was like, all right, I'm gonna try that. And I went in, and Lauren told me exactly what you said. Like everybody else came in just super hard, you know, trying to be like, you know, the big bad, which he is, you know, you end up, but finding that nuance where you could like bring him down, that's just something that I could bring. And then getting this, you know, this role continued my learning of Chicano culture and who I am as a Mexican American, you know, without like owning completely Julio Macias. And Julio Macias is Julio Macias, not Julio More Chairs. You know, and I did a play called The Mexican Trilogy right before On My Block, and that was like a reaffirming of like, you know what, my parents came here for their own reasons, but that doesn't need to be my particular narrative, you know. And so I embraced that like Mexico, even though I was born in Mexico City, like I consider myself Mexican American. I consider myself Angelino, Chicano. When I hear people talk about their lives, the most similar to mine are Mexican Americans living in Los Angeles, you know? And this show definitely added on to that, you know, to that learning and you know, in Mexico, you see some things, you know, like the reason that we came here was for like the kidnapping scares and, you know, gun robberies and, you know, the whole conversation about the police. It's just like, you know, I thought that the United States police was like the good police, you know, because you grew up in Mexico just being like, listen, they're not good. Not even like, they don't even pretend at any point that this is a good institution. So you're like, get around it, pay them off, say yes, whatever it is. But yeah, you come from that society, and then you lost train of thought because
of course.
Yeah. So when I now my experience here is not erase my heritage and embrace the fact that like I'm on the Tanner side of my family, and you know, and you know, try to stay away from the stereotypes of what we see in telenovelas is the height of Latino beauty, you know, or names. And, you know, these people are all still Latino. Argentinians are still Latinos, Uruguayans are still Latinos, but they are presented as like this, you know, and it really kind of like keeps everybody under that, or it seems like it keeps everybody under that.
Right.
And here in the United States, we're doing something while a lot of people think it could be done slower, other people think it could be done faster, but it's like we're aggressively taking back our narrative and showing the amount of different stories. you know, like, and me being part of that is opening that conversation in my family where my dad's like, if my son, or my mom and my dad, if my son is a famous Mexican actor, it'd be great if nobody knows that he's Mexican and he just plays all these great roles, which sure, ideally sounds nice or whatnot. But now that I'm willing to play the gangbanger, you know, I'm revisiting the story of an icon like Selena and Dinos and, you know, Pete. And it's being a little bit more raza than like my parents or my mom would want me to be, just because you always want better than where your child is, or you want your child to be better from where you were. You know?
I will say. Go ahead. No, I didn't mean to cut you off there. Go ahead.
Oh, no. Just I do feel I don't think they did it maliciously, but I do feel that my parents, when they moved here, they tried to assimilate into the American dream and culture totally, fully. You know.
Yeah. At the end of the day, they just want what's best for you. Like I remember my father just being very like, "Hey, man, just try to blend in, try to assimilate. Let's not." While my mother was the one like, "No, you're gonna learn Spanish. You're gonna do this. You're gonna do that. You're gonna be proud of your culture." So there's always that constant battle. But I wanted, like, it's so funny that you're like, "Oh, you know, it's another gangbang. I don't know if I'm gonna jump it." I'm gonna tell you now, man. You got skills, because when I remember watching On My Block, right?
For real.
I'm gonna sound dumb as hell right now. I'm gonna sound dumb as hell right now. So, like, yeah, I love the heart that you bring to the character, but like, I thought you were like almost like, you know, Danny Trejo type, where he's got the tats for real. He went to prison. He lived that life. So when you see him in character, you're like, yeah, that's him. So when I saw you, I was like, good for this dude. He's fixing his life up. He's acting. Good for him. And then all of a sudden, boom, I see Selena. I'm like, oh, he must have a brother. This kind of looks like.
Es el primo. Es el primo.
Dude, and then I do the research. I'm like, yo, this dude is
talented.
Amazing.
Amazingly talented, for sure. It's like, you know, I remember when I first saw On My Block, I related to the story in general, and just seeing, like, I grew up in the hood and my brothers were dead ass gangsters. So that story and that narrative of how, like, your brother is always like giving you that tough love, like, you can't be in the streets, you can't be doing that. And you're like, whoa, like, you don't want me to live, but it's not that they don't want me to live. They want to protect me from a lot of things. So I was like, oh my God, he's probably like just like my brothers, but he's like mad, you know what I'm saying? And when I met you in person, I was just like, this man is so talented. Like, he's gonna be one of the greats. Like, he's gonna go down in history as a freaking one of the most legendary best actors. Because it's like, for real, it's true. You're able to play this character with so much heart, and then in Selena, you get to see a different version of those characters. And I just want to know, like, how do you do that? Like, is there something about them that you can relate to that are similar, or do you find the difference? Like, how do you find the difference in these characters?
Yeah, I reach to play interesting and unique characters, whether they be the centerpiece or not of a show, you know. I guess it goes again to what attracted me to be an actor. You know, you have a lot of people, it's like, oh, I could see myself I could see myself in that movie. I could play myself in that movie. I could play myself in that movie. For me, it was always disappearing into something, you know? Like, I would watch Jim Carrey as a kid, and I'd be like, I love that man is a rubber face, you know? Into comedy, you know, I love comedy. That's all I consume. I am super jealous of you guys for doing stand-up comedy, because I can't do it. And like, every time I go to like comedy shows, I'm like, I wish I had that brain to work like that, you know? And so when my dad pushed me to be a little bit more like serious actor, which was just fine, and I love it, what I found fun was, how can you not recognize me on the street? How can you not know that that's Julio playing Pete or Spooky or something, you know? So for me, it's giving myself physical restraints, you know, walking a certain way, talking a certain way. That helps me. That just helps me kind of like get into a different body. And if I put myself into a different body, then I put my judgment away. You know, I put the spin that Julio would have on the situation. Like, I doubt that me and Spooky would look at things the same way, you know.
Mhm.
But that only happens when I'm able to put away, like, you know, my own hesitation or my own thoughts on gun laws and gun control. I have to put that away, you know, because that can't be what's happening. Oscar is smart enough to like look at both ways, but he definitely has a point of view, right? And the only way that for me, Julio, can get to that point of view is if I look different. So I started working out for like try to get myself spooky. So, you know, that look, that face, it was just me looking at the mirror, getting to a point where like, oh, that looks freaky. That looks like Julio drank way too much and he's way too angry, and nowhere that I would want like me as a person to go. But I got there by reminding myself, it's not you, it's this person. It's not you, it's this person. Right. You know, in a safe, controlled environment. Don't go out there and.
So
yeah, I don't want to find out you just walking out there like, this is what Spooky does. I'm sorry, guys, it wasn't me.
Yo,
and
that happens. And that happens, you know. Like, and that is season 1, you know, I live in Studio City, and I was walking up and down near the In-N-Out, and yeah, this bike cop car just like, you know, rolled around, and it was like, hey, are you good? And I was shaved head, you know, boxers and a tank top, and I was like, oh yeah. And because I answered like this, oh yeah, like, oh yeah, okay, I'm an actor, I'm working on my size right now. It's like, oh great, good luck, man. And he drove off, and I'm like, and it took me a while to be like, what was different about that interaction? And I was like, the way that I spoke. Literally, the only, like, because the guy stopped me because he looked at me a certain way, you know. And then same thing happened twice, you know, driving back from set when I wouldn't take off the tats, you know, I'd get pulled over, and immediately when I saw, is there a problem, officer? Just the way that I spoke, they treated me completely different from how I felt. Like I felt like a shark. It felt like a shark, like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. Roll down the window. What's the problem, officer? Or however I said it, they just like, oh, he's a good boy. Yeah.
Oh God, that's so interesting.
And that's freaky.
That's so freaky. Like that you just have to completely change your demeanor so that they could be like, lay off of you. When you play these characters, I would imagine that you have such an immense sense of empathy. You know what I'm saying? Like you're able to empathize and see different sides to be able to even bring this character to life. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. How, like, would you consider yourself someone that's very empathetic?
Yeah. I get into a lot of arguments, peaceful arguments, because I tend to be devil's advocate. Not to justify, but to try to understand and explain the other side. I sometimes, you know, go way on and on and on over a subject that I completely disagree with. You know, just because, you know, that's how my mom taught me, like two sides of a coin. You know, but for, you know, someone like Spooky, who's I know what it's like to be Mexican American. I know what to be like, you know, looked at a certain way, but this is not my experience. You know, I'm not like one of your brothers, you know, who lived it through it. So what can I do? Educate myself on the history. You know, 100 years worth of history came before Oscar walked on the streets with the point of view that he had. So I went back to the Mexican-American War. I went back to, you know, who were the original Californianos, who took the land from who, how long have the Mexican community lived in Los Angeles, you know, before gangsters came in the 40s and like revitalized it, and then senators came in and then suddenly, oh, let's repopulate it with, you know, immigrants from the East Coast, and the Mexicans are like, okay, cool, but we're still citizens. Wait, no, we're not now, you know, and shipping them back and forth between. So it's like, and for a long time, it was kind of quote unquote peaceful. They would just like, oh, want me to go to Guadalajara? Okay, I'll get on the bus. Hey, we can go back to the United States. Cool, let's go back to the United States. So that,
yeah, true.
Everyone's like, why is everybody coming up to the United States? They're not coming up. They're going up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down, because I've been doing that for literally 100 years. You know, mm-hmm. And that history of the people that got pushed out towards Compton, towards Heights, what Spooky operates with the code, but I think that Spooky takes it to heart. He doesn't want to do this for money or this and that. So for him, the code is like, I didn't set up the code, and neither did the gangbangers in the 90s. This is something that we've been running with since, I don't know, 1960s, 50s with the Zoot Suit riots. And it's like, we got to protect our neighborhood. We got to keep our women and children safe. And we need to alert people to our neighborhood when outsiders come into our neighborhood, because unfortunately we've been beat on and beat on and beat on and beat on. So once I have that historical context, then I just have to like think of the facts, and you naturally get upset or angry. There's no like substitution. There's like, let me think of that one time that person ran over my dog and I was really angry at that person. Now let me put it towards this person. But when you know the historical context, you're like, no, dude, that just pisses you off, you know?
Yeah. I have to ask, I see the question coming up in the chat. People want to know about season 4, and I know you can't give away too much, but is there anything you could tease, like this is coming, or?
The end of season 3 is real. It's not a fake thing. That's where we are now.
Okay.
I like that.
Yeah. So it's not I've been getting that. It's like, it's a fantasy, or it's like, is that really going to happen? And like, yeah, we're in the future, and that's where it is. And I mean, I love that ending. Even if it would have ended in season 3, that's what happens with relationships. Your strongest, closest friends, like, you drift, you know, and it's heartbreaking. But this 4th season brings them all back together. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I'm excited. I'm so excited. Like, it's crazy, because it's like, even seeing this character that you're playing and learning so much about the history of like why they're set up or why they feel this way. It's like, it's easy to like just be like, oh, this person's like this because they're like this, but it's like, no, there's a whole history as to why people are like this. And for you to be able to like tap into that and just be like, you know what, this is where he's operating from, I think is great. And, you know, honestly, the authenticity of that show is just really what resonates with a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? That's why I'm like, I remember when I first saw the first season, I'm like, I'm obsessed with this show. Like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like, I was completely, because it was just came from a very authentic place. And I just didn't feel like it was forced. And I was like, you know what? They're from California, but I feel like that code is very like Bronx, New York for me. So honestly, I'm just grateful that that show even exists, you know? And I think that on my blog was also a show that was so easy for me to explain to people, because they're always like, oh, we want Latinx stuff. And I'm like, what's on my blog?
Yeah.
Look at all these characters just being themselves and having and are able to just be these characters, be who they are, and be like, okay, but I'm Mexican, and you know, my brother's this and my sister's that. And I think that was just a great way to just introduce people to these characters and then the culture. So it was just like, it's a great show. I love it.
Thank you. I think another cool thing about on my blog is it touches on a lot of issues and it normalizes things, but it does it through a lens of comedy, because people are willing to, like, you know, if you watch something like I Will Destroy You, like you're doing that as a conscious choice. Like, I'm going to go in here and I'm going to learn. I'm going to do that, you know, so you already have a predisposition to love it. And, you know, but on my blog, you could, you know, put it on and like some, you know, random, I don't know, Howard in West Virginia is going to watch this and they'll be like, oh, this is fun. And then like watch the show and maybe understand some sort of plight, you know? But what brings you in is like, it's funny. It's really funny.
Yeah. So let's shift gears here from the role where you had no hair to long ass hair, Selena. That's why I was like, that's not the same guy. Apparently, I don't know how hair extensions.
That's the real secret right there. Hair. The hair department. That's you think it's acting. It's not acting. It's just the hair.
It's all hair. So you're doing on my blog. All of a sudden, the Selena series comes in. Like, what draws you to that role? And then also, like, if you could even touch up on like just the pressure, like, you know, because she's such a legend. Like, I feel like there's such a pressure for everybody on set to be like, we got to get this right. We cannot mess this up.
For sure. The biggest weight off my shoulders. I was like, I'm not Christian right now. The actress who plays Selena. Like, I was just like,
yeah.
I'm not dealing with that. So like, just focus on your little corner, Julio, like learn how to cumbia as best as you can and just support Christian, Yeah, that was another, that opened up, my experience to the, broaden my Mexican American experience. I auditioned because, like all of us, we're looking for the next job. Like, I feel you. Like, I want to let this in grow, but like I got to keep it clean for the show. But also because I got like 6 auditions that I got to get in. How are you sending me 32 pages in for 2 days? Excuse me. I have things to do. But yeah, so it was like a job. I was like, yeah, I know Selena, that'd be great. Let me go in and try to see what it is. I auditioned a couple of times for Chris, so I went in a couple of times for Chris, and I knew the movie, and I knew obviously of her story. I wasn't a huge, like, not that I wasn't a fan, I just wasn't aware as a younger kid. I was like, oh yeah, Selena, whatever. That was like, for me with Selena was when my parents would go to sleep and like the primos would keep the party going, then dun, da, 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 dun, da, da, dun, da, da, dun, da. You're like, okay, woo, I'm gonna stay up. Wait, I'm 5 years old. Go to bed. Yeah. No, I wasn't 5. I was a little older than that. But still, they'd still like send me to bed, And so I auditioned a couple of times for Chris. I watched the movie again, and I was like, okay, this is interesting. I followed Chris Pratt, and I was like, okay, I don't think I look like this dude, but all right, whatever. Let's try it. And I went in a couple of times, and then they asked me one time to come in and sing something, and I was like, all right, do you have a guitar or a piano or something you can bring in? I was like, sure, yeah, I'll bring in like a little guitar. And I made a little thing, and I sang in Rico. The EP of the show was in that particular room. And he was just like, do you know any mariachi? And like, again, I was like, if I could call my mother right now and thank her, I would, because I do. I know probably more mariachi than I should know.
Yeah.
So I belted out La Media Vuelta, and it was like the room. It was one of those like shift moments, It's like I got everyone's attention for better or worse, They're like, can you sing another one? I was like, sure. Let me go get the casting assistants, and I think I sang Si nos dejan, or a little bit of it, and it was just like, yeah, si nos dejan, nos vamos a querer toda la vida. Yeah, and
by the way, I thought you were about to hit us with like, I'm gonna do a little Blink 182. Hold on. What?
Where are you? And it was interesting just because, like, again, how cool. I mean, then I experienced it again with Selena and the cumbia, but like just in that moment, like our music affected this room in this way that people came in and were like, "Órale, like bring it. Where's the trompeta and where's like the guitar and everything? Like let's make a canta, like let's just sing right now, right?" And I booked the show that day. They told me like, and you booked, you're gonna be playing Pete. I was like, great. Who's Pete? I was like, I had no idea. So then I went in, I did research. I was like, oh, like he's like her like
guy,
duetist. Yeah, the guy who wrote, Como la Flor,
Yep.
He's the man, And so like I started following, I was like, okay, I think my voice is similar enough to his where I can like get, mimic it. So like that was another fun exercise, just like going in and seeing his mannerisms and like the hair. I was like, am I gonna get the hair? Am I gonna get the hair? They're like, yeah, you're gonna get a full mullet. And I was like, great. So I started like trying to do little things like that. And this one hit me with a curveball. I did not know about this man. So I didn't know his level of dance skills. And nobody asked me in the casting or at any point if I knew how to dance. So I was like, when they asked me, I was like, put me at a wedding, at a bar, like I'm moving. There's a huge difference between moving and dancing.
Well, yeah.
Like
there's a big difference. This right here, this move, the 2-step, and then actually busting out of
just be like, in it.
my head. I get right here.
Emily, one of the choreographers, was just like, anytime that I would like just be jamming along with everybody without having to actually do it, I'd just be like, yeah, just doing that, right? And she's like, no, Julio, practice your cumbia. Come on. I was like, all right, fine. And yeah, I had a couple of notes from different producers like, Julio, you're doing great. You're fantastic. I really need you to be better at dance. I need you to like just, Pete, so good. And like the pressure, I was like, ooh. So that became my number one obsession on that show, is like, get the cumbia right. And so like it was, multiple times a week rehearsing in the grocery store, in the shower, just like anytime that I heard like a cumbia beat, just like, just get the shoulders, get the hips, get everything going. And that really just like kind of helped, because that's who Pete was on stage. He was just like the hype man, right? So like me always being in like this movement way, and then I get up there, I have this like crazy wig on, and it's like Selena. So these are songs that like, these aren't obscure little songs that people are like, I don't know the lyrics. Before COVID, we would have hundreds of people in the audience, and they would all be screaming back the lyrics to you. So you're just like, we got to give them a show, We like every time between takes, Christian would often be like, hey, keep the mics hot, like let's give these people, let's play it again while you're setting up. Usually when you're doing like a camera test, you're like, all right, bring in the stand-ins, doing this and that. Like, no, like rehearse it and then shoot the rehearsal if you want, because we're going to be interacting with the audience. And that was a lot of fun energy, thinking of like, what if Julio would have been a musician? Like I really threw myself into that. Like, you get to live this rock star life, but very much more like Pete, because he wasn't like he really cared about the performance and the lyrics. So like, he wasn't like a huge partier, he would like live to be on stage singing. So if he wasn't on stage singing, he was writing, he was like working out, he was, practicing his charm and his thing. So that was another interesting, very, very fun experience. For sure.
Now I gotta ask: Are you excited for the pandemic to be over so that you can go to parties and whip out the cumbia? Like, oh, you want to dance real quick? Anybody want to dance?
Yo,
anybody?
Right.
I'm asking all my friends and primos like, yo, who's getting married and when are the wedding dates? Because listen, Pete's coming to the wedding.
The moves, baby. I got the moves. Did you ever get to meet Pete in person?
Pete, no, I still haven't met Pete. Yeah, they kept the separation between cast and crew, or cast and the real life people. They really wanted us to be, they wanted the show to be our interpretations of these people, not carbon copies.
Okay.
And later on, we found out that they cast all of us off a feel. Like, I think I'm like 5 feet taller than Pete. Not actually, but like I'm much taller than Pete. Like he was like the shortest of, at least it looked like that way on the stage, and now it's like this like gangling thing, and this I feel like I look like one of those car sales things. And
oh my god.
Yeah, but so they wanted us to have like some sort of separation. After the fact, I did get to meet AB and Suzette via Zoom. And that was, some people love Selena, some people hated Selena. For me, the greatest thing was like that they were like, we watched this show and it brought us back to those moments. Like the relationship that you guys built, that's how it was on the tour bus. That's how it was backstage,
Right.
The biggest thing that I took, AB, was just like Christian, she has her smile and her like energy that she gave it, the performance that she gave. She's like, that was my sister. So you're like, screw what anybody else says. Like, these are the people that were there, and they're telling you like, you made us feel this, right? I didn't meet Pete, but Suzette did say like, I was talking to Pete earlier, and he said, I always wanted to be tall. So
no, he's living that through you. It's you saying that how they casted you guys for your own interpretation of the show. It says a lot, because I'm also realizing how this is a new way to introduce Selena to a younger crowd, right? And I just know that my little cousins, they love the show. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
so,
because you guys bring in your own flavor of like what it is to be authentically yourself, but your interpretation of what these characters are is ringing true to the younger audience, because they're like, oh, I can't wait to see it. I can't wait. Like, they're really excited. You know what I'm saying? And you know, me watching the show, I was able to see, I'm like, okay, this is a different way to introduce younger audience to Selena, and I think it's great. I think it's doing a great job.
Although I will say that I got to check out some of season 2, and it almost feels season 2 feels like the season that everyone was expecting right out the bat. You know, because that's the story that you want to see. But without season 1, without like all of that, you know, everyone's gonna have. We all know where the series is going, so like we all already have that like emotional impact. But without the first season, it's that same like, oh, we lost. You watch season 1, it's like they lost, and they lost their family. You know, like we lost an icon and a person, like, you know, but they lost their family.
Oof.
And
that gets goosebumps because you really, that's so true.
I'll tell you now, like, it was so funny to watch all of you just embody these characters. But the way season 1 ended when they introduced Yolanda, like, by the way, I got to meet the actress, and I'm blanking on her name right now because we met on Clubhouse, and she actually started in comedy. Like, she's like, oh, I'm an improv actor. I was like, listen, when I saw you, the hairs on my arm stood up, I would have hit you. But that's how good you were, girl. And she started laughing. She goes, okay, good.
I only had one very brief conversation with her at like one of the mixers. Yeah, but it was like social distance mixers because it was like mad COVID. And yeah, super nice, super friendly, very vibrant.
So sweet,
and she's just, and it was great when she started talking. It's like, oh, I knew that I was going to come in here and everybody was going to hate me without like, and it was true. Not that we dislike that actress or anything like that, but I remember the first time she showed up in the studio, I didn't see her, but there was a weird energy on set. Like, oh, Yolanda's here. No, she's not. The actress playing now. Yeah, the actress playing Yolanda's here, you know, but it just shows you the weight of that person, you know. And I think she, like, I was watching season 2. I think she did a phenomenal job as Yolanda. Yeah.
I gotta get ready. I gotta prepare myself.
Instead of knocking on your trailer, yo, Spooky, come out here, talk to Yolanda. Spooky,
right.
You
don't have to. Yeah. I love it.
Dude, we are so excited. So when does season 4 of On My Block come out?
I'm not sure when it comes out. We are filming it like right now. Like they're on set, and I have the next 5 days off. But it's a strong season. I laughed really hard. It's really interesting to see all of these characters grow up, but you know, find themselves, you know, back to themselves. It's really nice. It's a really cool bow, I would say.
Awesome. And then season 2, Selena comes out first week in May.
May 4th.
Dude, so you were just killing it right now. You hate to say stuff during the pandemic, like 2021 is my year, guys. I'm killing it. I am thriving.
Blessings.
I know, but you know what? You're so humble about it, and that's even more amazing, right? Because like just seeing you doing all this stuff and just being humble and just being like, yo, I'm just doing it for the work. I really love this. It's just like, I can't wait to see what your future is gonna be like. I can't wait to see how much you're gonna grow, and I'm always gonna be rooting for you, for real.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
That's what I'm. If I want to keep playing interesting, unique characters, and if people will pay me a livable wage, then like I'm set. I'm happy. You know, that's kind of where I want to keep doing.
Well, tell everyone where they can find you. I know you're on social media. Whatever you want to plug.
Yeah. Follow on Instagram at Julio Macias, same thing on Twitter. And yeah, I don't know what else I'm in right now because I'm auditioning like everybody else and my mother. Yo, that's the game though. It's real.
It is. That's true.
Awesome, man. Yeah, go follow Julio. He's an amazing actor. Like I said before, I legit thought he was that dude on my block. And as you can see, super talented, super humble. And just so you know, Julio, because I know you said you were thinking about maybe getting up on stage. So Brownish came from pre-pandemic. It was a show we had launched at the Laugh Factory, sold out, and it was becoming the place to be. We had the cast of Gentefied there. With Mr. Iglesias was going to come out. Like we started a movement at the Laugh Factory. So you are always welcome once we reopen. And if you want to get up on that stage,
absolutely,
I'm down. I'm in. I love improv. I do sketch comedy. I have yet. Obviously on my block is a comedy, but I've yet to book anything that's comedy just because people are like, no, yeah, you're funny, but can you do this? And I'm like, someone let me slip on a banana peel, damn it.
That's so good. That's so
Sasha,
good.
tell people where they can find you.
You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. It's at Sasha Merci. TikTok is Sasha.Merci. But everything else is Sasha Merci. And you can catch me on HBO Little Meal and on Fuse, Like, Share, Malone. So
there we go. And you guys know me, Erik Rivera. Go follow me on Instagram, Erik Rivera Comedy. I'm also on the Tiki Toki, the Twitter. And I've got my half-hour special streaming right now on HBO Max called Super White. So go watch it. Julio, thanks so much, man. We appreciate it, man. And we're wishing you nothing but the best in the future. And hopefully once this is all over, we can all get together and celebrate.
Heck
I'm down. I'm down. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right, guys. See you next week.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.